Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the League Community Podcast. We are here to talk about Kled, but before we begin, I would like to take a little bit of time to talk about something that happened on the last podcast. For those of you who were listening to us talk about Rise and the Rise update, someone, I believe it was John O'Brien, was a little mistaken and made a comment about Rise's original voice actor. And so we wanted to give a shout out to Adam Harrington, the original voice actor of Rise, who is certainly not someone off of the street. Definitely a mistake by John. Didn't actually know that Adam was Rise's original voice actor, which is funny because Adam actually tried out and got pretty close to being accepted to be Rise's new voice actor as well. So we love Adam here. You guys probably also know him as the voice actor for the original Karthus, Shaco, Cassidon, Mordekaiser. He's also gone on to do a lot of great things like The Wolf Among Us, a lot of different voices in that, as well as the main characters. So go ahead and check out Adam Harrington, VO. Sorry for the confusion. But back to this one. We are here for Kled. If I didn't introduce myself, I am Patrick Scarborough, also known as Scarzard. And joining me is the DNA pod behind the champion, Kled. So we have Odin Wargbobo Schaefer.
Warg.
Was that good enough? Is that good enough for you?
It's acceptable.
I tried to go for like a...
Warg.
Okay, so I will never mess that up ever again. And we have... Edmundo, I'm going to mess this up. Oh, God, you have to say it.
Adnumde.
Edmundo Adnumde Sanchez. It's actually Edmundo backwards. And trying to... it's like, if you had not told me it was backwards, I would probably have gotten it every time. But now that I know, I'm like, oh, God, am I going to do it? And we have Ian Harrow Hendry here. Guys, how you doing?
Pretty good. I have the most boring summoner name at this table, apparently.
Exactly. Harrow is actually pretty regular. So to give you guys the rundown, Odin, you were the head of the kind of narrative design, you might say, behind Kled. So what does that actually entail for someone as crazy as this?
Well, for any of these, some of it is sort of figuring out theming and sort of like the character. So what are they going to feel like as a person, as opposed to the sort of pure gameplay? There's obviously a lot of interaction between art and gameplay for that personality. So we're always trying to make sure that that's doable, but also that we're aligned. And so a lot of what I do is sort of, most of my job is actually pitching stuff to these two people and being like, hey, do you like me? Do you like me now? Please like me.
The answer is no. But sometimes he has good ideas and we will steal them from him.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's a very interesting relationship then. It's like, guys, but what if they had spacesuits on? And you're like, Odin, stop, go away.
Yeah, well, yeah. What if he was an insane old man with a somewhat codependent relationship with his pet that actually doesn't understand him? And by insane, I mean like totally insane, like talking to things.
Yeah. And yet that one is the one that ended up sticking. So Mundo, walk me through a little bit of the journey from beginning to now. Like how did we begin concepting this character specifically? Because I know there were a lot of challenges around, well, is it going to be a Yordle? Is it going to be a person? What is he going to ride on? Things like that.
Well, actually, I think pretty early on we decided to make it a Yordle. So I think we were hitting on a design space that there was a lot of humans already taking up on. You know, basically you had your Master Yi's and your Fiora possibly and whatnot.
Humans with swords.
Humans with swords, yeah. So we wanted to kind of hit that vein gameplay wise, but so wanted to make sure that we were gonna get a completely new visual. So Yordle was definitely decided on pretty early. Definitely knew that we wanted a mount, but we didn't know exactly what it was. So that's my job, right? Like I started just drawing and getting submissions for as many mounted Yordles as we could, and then started generating conversation and seeing what was it that what would best fit this character.
So I know, we talk about it on the podcast a lot, the DNA, the design, narrative, art. It's kind of a give and take. There's a lot that kind of moves in between. So they
literally lock us in a room.
That's please help all of us. So we haven't been allowed to leave for hours. But no, so which actually came first here? Like, what was the chicken or the egg in the Kled case?
We kind of knew mounted Noxian Yordle pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like we established that we wanted to do mounted, and then we were like, oh, but the mount can't be big, so therefore the rider needs to be small. Okay, Yordle. Or Yordle or Goblin. And then we were like, oh, well, we're not sure what the line is. But we were then looking at Yordles, and we were like, yeah, Noxus doesn't really have a Yordle. That would be kind of different. Like, that would be really different from the other Yordles.
Yeah. All the other Yordles who are like, let's live in harmony in some like weird forest town and love one another. And Kled is definitely a far cry from that. Ian, I actually know that you did not begin design work on Kled. You were actually handed Kled. What is that experience like typically for people out there that might not know?
Well, you end up being handed this giant problem, and then you have to try and solve it. And it's up to the players out there to decide whether or not we really did. No, not really. I mean, I was there from the start, kind of shadowing. It was Jordan Riot Rex, I believe.
Yeah, creator of
Braum and Kindred. Yeah.
This is your first character, is that correct?
From a design standpoint, yeah, I was the writer on Champions way back when. But as a gameplay designer, this was my first project, yeah. For me, honestly, I was working with Jordan pretty closely on some of the early things. The core of the character, like the passive especially, is kind of the main part of it. And being around working with these guys here, I felt like I had a pretty solid understanding of the character's personality, the way these two things interplayed, and how he should feel in game. So I felt like I was kind of set up to succeed in that way. I wanted to kind of keep that spirit alive, have this sort of personality, which I think we'll get to, be the driving force behind every ability I was trying to make for the character.
So we have Noxian mounted Yordle, right? And that feels like kind of the space you guys are moving around in. How from that do you guys get to Kled and Skarl? Like when was the moment that you guys really felt like you started to land upon the personalities that kind of, that people are already hearing about right now?
I mean, like, we kind of knew that we wanted to do a really different Yordle just in personality, but partially this relates to something that is not totally player facing, but the sort of notion that, like, Yordles are kind of human ideals in a certain way. Like, Poppy is sort of like courage, but also humble courage. And Heimerdinger is sort of like this spirit of innovation in a way. Sort of like, if you look at them through that thing, well, then what does Noxus care about? Like, what is sort of a Noxian ideal? And he kind of personifies that. And it's a, like,
insanity.
Let's fucking
is
do
that
it. Yeah. Like he is the guy who is going to charge into the middle of the fight, even though he's only 3 foot tall, like, and try and beat up all 5 guys.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a thought of a fucking old movie, Bad News Bears, where there was this one little kid who was picking fights with everybody, and he was always losing. But, like, through the course of the movie, we began to realize that in itself was sort of heroic. Like, like, I don't care if I lose. Like, I'm not afraid of getting beaten up.
Yeah. It's actually interesting that you bring up Poppy because, it's easy to see Poppy. I think the thing that came up the most during her development was David and Goliath, right? It was like, oh, we're going to have the little Yordle that takes on the big guys and wins, right? And, she's all decked out in Demacian armor and everything. It's cool to see the Noxian Yordle be the one that has, like, no regard for safety, right? It's like, doesn't actually care if he's going to win, is going to charge right in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the kind of sort of symbolism that I've always seen is Skarl the lizard is almost that voice in the back of your head that's telling you this is probably a bad idea, really. But then true courage is when you completely ignore that and just keep going.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we tried to make Kled feel like. Is there's a lot of things in our game that tell you just go back to base, just come back later. No, everything about Kled is if you just stick around a little longer than it seems sensible to do, just go in one more time, get that last hit, it's actually going to work out better.
Yeah, it's almost, we actually had, like, up as pillars for a little while, like, goes ham.
Yeah.
Like, as a sort of, like, encouraging that. And then Mundo sort of did a really sort of early drawing that started to move him into the insane old man thing. Because, like, I just would stare at this drawing, and it was the sort of super goblin one that you did. They had these sort of, it didn't even look like a traditional Yordle. It looked more like a goblin with these snaggletooth and sort of weird bent hat, top hat. And he just looked so mean and ornery that then that started to, like I then had that moment where I could then do the imitation of Scarl, which ends up being like a big, for my department, a big sort of character moment, like, because now I can pitch him like as the voice to people. And then if they like that, then it's like, okay, I know how to write this guy. And like people start sort of being able to quote him even before he exists, like before we had a voice actor.
Even the naming process for these characters, like, you pitch a whole bunch of names and Odin submits this huge long list. And in the design pit, when people were playtesting the guy, even before we'd really finally picked the name for the lizard, people were like yelling, "Squall! Come back, Squall!" And we're like, okay, I think we know the name.
Yeah, multiple A's on the Scarl. So Mundo, how? Maybe I don't know enough about you, Mundo, but how do you go from this kind of, oh yeah, we're gonna have a mounted Noxian Yordle, probably cares about strength, to like insane old mean guy?
Well, I think since the beginning, also we were tossing around the idea of this guy had to be crazy. This guy's always been crazy. So I mean, I think a lot of the early explorations we did was, I mean, in the goblin image that he's referring to, I think was me trying, just as a concept artist should, I was exploring as many boundaries as I could, and I was trying to push it as far as I possibly could. So I was actually trying to like lean it towards more of a goblin, which obviously we had to kind of bring it back more into recognizable Yordle land. But I think. Sorry, what is the question?
It's cool. No, we can edit that. So the question that I had was how did you get? How did you personally, when you're iterating, get into like insanity and like mean and like anger and really start to represent that kind of relationship between them?
Got it. Okay. And well, I think, okay, yeah, like I said, so insanity was a major player early on, and then you just draw and explore and see what sticks, right? And obviously, like he was saying, there's certainly certain images that resonate. The goblin resonated, but obviously we had to bring it a little closer to Yordles. But there was that meanness that I think I was calling it the Icky King at the time. That worked out, So then you just kind of stick to that and keep working it.
And really early on, you were like, I mean, one of the things that sort of we both sort of agreed early on, this is when Jordan, before Ian was even a part of it, was like, hey, let's push some of the boundaries of what a Yordle is, visually, thematically, like what you sort of think of as a Yordle. Like,
right.
Move that forward.
Because Yordles aren't actually mean, right? It's like the most evil Yordle we kind of have is Vhagar, and his whole thing is like, take me seriously. It's short jokes, right? It's like, we don't actually even know if he is a bad dude deep down, or this is like a phase for Vhagar in some ways, where like Kled's a mean bastard. He really, he has some violent tendencies, both in and out the game. Hey. That's the name of his W. Yeah, and I have to say, this is kind of my moment to give this feedback to you guys. I think this character feels unlike anything I've played in League so far. Like, whether it's just playtesting him or messing around in kind of the single player tool and hearing the way that he talks, I was very worried, and I'm sure you guys got this a lot. This character might come off as like a weird hick stereotype, right? I can only imagine how many times that probably came up. But the relationship between these characters is so genuinely funny that I even minutes before this, I'm hanging out with Ian at his desk, and I hear Kled go, "You can't deep fry courage," right? And I'm like, I love you. I love this. This is, went from being something I was not very sure about to something that I'm very excited about.
I mean, I think this character, I viewed it, and I was given probably more leeway than I should have been. The same view as Tom Kench, where there was a lot of concern about that when we did Tom Kench, where it was like, is Tom Kench like making fun of people? Is he sort of thing? And it's like, no, he's coming from a place of love. Like, it's like, I generally want people to like Tom Kench. I generally want people to like Kled, except the people who don't like Kled, and they can go fuck themselves.
Kled doesn't want you anyway. So I want to get over to the gameplay a little bit. We've been talking a lot about his personality, and I want to keep that going. But Kled is really doing something I can't understate that just does not exist in League of Legends, right? Like we don't have, we have some transformation characters like Gnar, right, who have kind of the state base. We have characters like Aatrox who can come back from the dead, and Anivia who can come back from the dead. And yet, it feels like when you lane against Kled or when you see him do his thing and remount, it's not really like anything we've ever seen. How has that been from the beginning to balance and to work around?
It's been rough. We've definitely seen some more frustrating.
Ian says with giant bags under his eyes, "This is the price that you paid."
This is part of the dream, right? The horrible nightmare.
Yeah.
No, I mean, really, like there is huge potential for this kind of mechanic to frustrate people, right? Like you're this close to killing this little guy, this guy that's yelling at you as he's stabbing you, even as his mount is run away and he's at 10 HP, and then suddenly his lizard comes back and rescues him in the middle of the battle, and you're denied that chance to kill him. Like there is a potential for frustration there, but when we push it to this kind of extreme where the highs are that high for Kled, it also means that when people manage to kill Kled in the moments that his lizard is running back to him, about to give him that sort of second wind, that Kled Dead Redemption moment.
Wow.
Sorry,
all right,
everyone.
There you go. That everyone needs to know. Kled Dead Redemption. That is a summoner name right now. Someone is renaming their account to all sorts of Kled puns.
But to continue on that train, if you manage to just kill him, hit that last basic attack that knocks him dead, even as his lizard is running back to him, you get to say to yourself, Kled's dead, baby. Kled's dead. That's a high moment for these guys.
Everyone's
Someone
like, what?
prepped for the meeting.
Yeah, there we go. Someone's ready.
Hey.
So
Anyway,
I also know that you had to go through what I would consider a pretty big challenge where we didn't really know what to make this guy, right? Because I think, for some of the listeners out there who know, we talk about this all the time when we do champion update stuff, but we really try to focus on a role for the character, right? And we've most recently been trying to talk about like subclasses, right? This is kind of your juggernauts, right? Your battle mages versus your artilleries, right? Like how are we going to define this output? And I think it was you, Odin, who was talking about, or maybe it was Mundo that was talking about like Yi and Fiora, like these skirmishing swordmaster characters that want to get into the middle of the fray, and I think that's where we started with Kled, but it's certainly not where we've ended up, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's some element of him. He's kind of like a bit of a mixed class. He certainly does like to scrap with people in short ranges, and he's a physical melee fighter like those skirmisher types. But we kind of had this pivot point where we were trying to find like the big high moment, the unique thing that he could do for the game, and we tried a bunch of different things. There were things that forced Kled to dismount, but no one ever really wanted to do that. And eventually we just kind of stopped kidding ourselves. I think it was actually a pitch from Odin and probably other people as well, that this guy who writes something, he's a cavalryman. Why isn't he doing a giant cavalry charge, right? So we started trying a bunch of different kinds of cavalry charges and eventually landed on this big, long range, half the map charge that can bring allies with him or can just do it by himself. And then we tested that. We liked it. It's creating a lot of play that we really like. Cool team moments, actually causing interactions between the two teams. But one thing we kind of had to accept was that if we go in this direction, it certainly allows him to dive. If he preps this in the right way, if he finds the right flank and picks the right location, he becomes a person who dives. Some of us call that a diver.
Oh yes. Oh yes, of course, the diver. So Mundo and Odin, we talked a little bit at the top of the show, and I think people are a little you can intuitively understand how art and story can inform gameplay, but how challenging has this process been for you guys on the receiving end, right? Because I know that there's a lot, and a lot of people who aren't in this room, right? The VFX guys, the animators, right? Who have to hear, hey, so we might be going in a completely different direction, right? Like, or I need to find a new ability, right? Like, how does that impact what you guys are actually working on and how you guys want to shape the character? Especially even from the early stages when you knew it's like, well, we want him to have double health bars, things of that nature.
Right.
For this guy, less than like some of the pivots on like Jin or Alawi. Like a lot of the base character was still kind of the same, and in a way the transition to diver, I mean, I had been kind of in favor of for a while. Just like everyone when you have August Browning like actually going, I'm gonna kill everybody. Come back here, Scarl. Like I'm gonna kill him anyways. Like when you have like nearly like robot August like expressing that, like you're like, all right, people like get this personality and enjoy that, and it was like, oh, we should probably embrace that. Where it's like things like Alawi or Jin, where I had to transition a little bit more. This one, it was like, I don't know, like, hey, Mark, I think he's a diver.
If everyone wants to do it over and over again, at a certain point, we got to be like, maybe that's just the thing he should do. Yeah, Mundo, do you find it difficult to especially because I know that you also have a leadership position within the team, kind of helping monitor a lot of the other artists and people that contribute to this project. Do you find it challenging to say like, oh guys, something's changing, or they don't know what they want him to do yet? Does that limit the space you guys have to kind of come up with ideas, or is that actually really good for you?
Well, I mean, I think it depends what exactly it is and when it comes. I think when things come very late, it certainly does limit the amount of things that you can possibly do. I think in this case, though, with when we went diver, it actually didn't necessarily have an impact on art. I think we were already pretty. The art was solving problems that I think would have kind of helped either way. Yeah. So it wasn't too big of a deal when we went diver. But yeah, I think depending on what you're doing, certainly when things come in late, it certainly hurts the team, to have to go make changes late, Yeah. So we certainly try to solve any problems ahead of time.
I think less than the sort of shift in class, it was just the nature of this passive and like all the tiny things we were tweaking and fine tuning and so on really were the things that caused the most pain to artists who had to go back in. Like we're like, okay, this guy needs a slightly longer attack range than he was at, so we need something that can actually sell that he's poking you from slightly longer than the usual attack range. Okay, well, we've already done all these animations. I guess we'll have to do something else and so on. And like, we're changing like the width of the cone of the shotgun blast that he fires, and we're changing the range of that as well, and all these other tiny little things on this system that's kind of fragile, right? Like we want it to function well, but it has potential for frustration. So trying to find that balance caused a lot of small changes that you wouldn't think would be super impacting to everyone, but definitely, yeah.
Certainly, Rory, Jin, and Kyle suffered so that's animation effects and sound effects suffered the most of it, because each time it shifts, like if one of those shifts, all three are affected. Yeah, and so it's minor change affects them.
And big props to those guys, because I think they brought a lot of the personality into the character.
Oh, for sure.
But I do think a strength of the team is agility. And I think it comes with the territory. I think when you're creating something from scratch, you definitely need to be ready to maneuver. Impromptu. Yep. So it's something that we're certainly used to, and something that I think the team does really well.
Yeah, I think that's actually something that that our listeners out there, I think people sort of assume, and in some cases it's true, right? In some cases we say like, oh, Echo, Time Punk, Assassin, like a lot of those things kind of come together and they feel like they really work. Right. But we've talked on streams and on podcasts about how like Jin was originally Kindred, right? Like Deadeye was this jungle sniper and then turned into the manifestation of life and death, right? And you're like, things actually change pretty dramatically sometimes, and so definitely shout out to those guys if you're listening for all the work that you've done. It feels like every time I load up Kled in the last couple months, it's like, oh, now he rolls back when he does a shotgun blast. You're like, I love the animation on the W where he like gets up on Scarl and starts stabbing and just screams as he does it. I want to go back to talking about the personality, because this, I think, is so key for me, and yet was actually a really big source of contention. Is that right, Odin?
I mean, there were probably, compared to any, with maybe the exception of Dunkmaster Darius, this has been the most like worry I've gotten, and most sort of meetings with legal I've had with the like, can we
does that feel good? Does that not feel good? Like some people, that could be a badge of honor, right? It's like,
so in a way, it's a badge of honor, because if we played it safe, it wouldn't be Kled, right? Like Kled, like I needed to figure out where our lines were for like swear words in League of Legends, and like depictions of violence, which I think it's kind of amazing that I managed. And unfortunately, most of these lines are not in the game. Like that, we had lines that he said things that were too violent for League of Legends, the video game. Yeah. And like in a way, some of those lines were like the things that both people were the most concerned about, but the people who were like when we had playtests and people were playing them also like clued you into who he was, and it felt right. Or it's like I will make soup out of your genitals. Like it's like he's going to make soup out of our genitals.
Yeah.
Genital is just not a word you expect to
didn't
hear
make
in
it.
League of
Yeah,
Legends.
That didn't make it. Also, the
Really breaks my immersion.
yeah. Well,
I was trying to get a genital-less experience.
Yeah.
Last hitting my minions. You got to bring genitals into it, man.
Yeah, the one that was the hard no, which is, and my voice is a little shot right now from impersonating a different character. But was the I'm going to cut off your head, crawl inside your skull, and make a summer home, and then screaming, "I will use your eye sockets as a boudoir."
Yeah, damn. That's not one that I had heard of before. I knew about the soup genital shenanigans.
Yeah.
I when I first heard stuff like that, it almost reminded me. My family has a military background. It almost reminded me of like a sergeant or like boot camp, right?
Yeah.
Like the kind of just crazy fantasy level shit that people will say to you to make you feel like you're gonna get your ass whooped, right? And
No, that's definitely that's intentional. Like he is like wearing Noxian military gear, and to a certain extent, he is your best version of a Noxian like drill sergeant.
yeah, I do want to give special shout outs as well to another member of the team, Evan Montero, for what is just knocking it out of the park on this splash art.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk so much about the personality, the crazy, gets back up, goes crazy, right? Scarl is like, I think, looking at a butterfly, right? And like kind of isn't into it.
Trying to
and,
lick the eye, yeah.
Yeah. And Kled is caught an arrow in his hand in the middle of a battle defending something and is screaming obscenities at them, right? And it's like that when a little background, right? I am a Southern individual. I have a lot of pride over Tom Kench, despite him being played by only the lowest of the low of human garbage. You can quote me on that. I hate you Tom Kench players. But no, I love him. I love the whole Lady Killers sort of aspect that he's got going. It's super great. And when I heard that we had this old man bumpkin from the Noxian outskirts named Kled riding his little horse.
Yeah.
Was it Kledadiah? Oh my God. It's like, I was like, ooh, man. I was like, oh man, are we just going to put another stereotype into this game? And that picture was the beginning of me really feeling like this had legs and this was really going to go somewhere. And God, so many things like what his cue. It's a bear trap on a rope.
That is the name of the ability.
Ian chose that name, and it was perfect. This was like because Ian was in narrative. This was probably one of the easiest collaborations I've ever had because like he'd wander up and be like, "I'm going to name it bear trap and a rope," and I was like, that is sweet, and I don't have to do any work.
Yeah.
All right.
But and sadly though, Mr. Kled's Wild Ride didn't make it.
That was the name of the ultimate for quite a long time. But yeah, that one we had to lay to rest.
Yeah.
But it will live on in my heart as the name of the ability forever.
Mr. Kled's Wild Ride. Well, tell me about that ultimate now, because we mentioned it earlier. We were talking about the kind of the change between a skirmisher or what some people in forums may know as a light fighter is what we used to call
or
them,
Slayer
right?
sometimes.
Yeah, Slayer, right? Like these are your melee carries, for lack of a better term, right? And when we changed to Diver, I know you. I don't want to say you lost a whole ton of sleep, but I don't think you got a lot during the process of trying to figure out all the different ultimates and things. So tell me about some of the ones that didn't work and how you really got to this one that you like.
Some of the ultimates didn't make it. So the one that was closest to that kind of skirmisher thing, this idea of light fighters happy fighting the front line and gives up the access to the back line to get that kind of power. There was one which was also a kind of a shorter range charge, just a like Malphite alt kind of range, which would hit one person, lock them in place, and then blast everyone behind them away. That did a lot of cool things if you had this cool kind of lining up gameplay to it, and then you hit this frontline target, and then your whole team would wail on them until they fell, and then you'd have essentially a 4v5, which was neat, but it just didn't feel like it was bringing anything particularly unique, right? Like coming so soon after Poppy, which had a like big, large team displacement kind of thing, this kind of like lockdown one person, which I think half the characters in our game have at this point.
Yeah.
So
some version of like isolate or stun the guy.
Right. So after that, I think I mentioned earlier, we tried a bunch where he just kind of had big steroid moments. If you think like Riven Ultimate, big power boost, which then at the end, no matter what happened, he would get dismounted, right? So he's gone into this kind of like crazed state. He's pushed Skarl to Skarl's poor limits, and then Skarl's like, all right, I'm done, I'm out, right? Which kind of was cool in the sort of personality way. We had a lot of cool ideas of what we could do with VO lines in that kind of state and so on. But at the end of the day, you're in the last 2 seconds of this powered up state, and you've gone as deep into this fight as you possibly can, and then you're in your weakened state. And, even if the enemy's got literally 0 damage on you that time, that's just not a state anyone ever wanted to be in, no matter what version we tried. So
you're saying basically like the high moments never really made up for the cost that you were kind of paying, which is having to be little Kled.
Right.
Like regular Kled.
Watching the way people would play it, they would spend half the time trying to kill someone, then would look at their buff bar and be like, oh, I've only got half my time left. I'm already going to try and escape so that when I get dismounted, I'm somewhere safe.
You'll be
right?
safe.
That's not Kled.
Do you guys have a lot of say or a lot of creativity to spare when it comes to trying to figure out abilities or concept or come up with like what things this guy is actually going to do in the world?
We really just pitch. Like I assume that I have a level of ignorance, and that the sort of artistry.
That's good advice. I think most people should assume that.
And I assume the sort of artistry of sort of like because really like good game design is actually mapping a feeling, right? Like the sort of like figuring out how this play pattern is going to make you feel a particular way. And so I pitch ideas that I think are probably consistent with that, but with no idea of how, like, whether they would work. But in general, when I pitch something and it's useful, it's like adjacent to what is good. It's not the thing. It's more like, oh, but that gives me an idea that is useful.
Yeah, I think like the origins of Bear Trap and the Rope actually were just us jamming about, like really early on, what are things that someone writing something might want to do, and it's essentially Kled's version of a lasso, right? Like lasso someone, then
A
you're kind of
really
like
crazy, like murderous, rusty lasso.
yeah, exactly. He just found a bear trap somewhere, thought, what can I do with this? Tie it to a rope. But yeah, I mean, it's that feeling, right? Like you've got this person, they're going to try and get away, you're going to try and kind of keep in this range, and then at the end, like drag them towards you, sort of thing. So does he have an actual full name and title? I heard while this is something, kind of an Easter egg, I guess, for some of you guys out there, but Kled's voice lines when he is dismounted is some of the most fun I've had in League of Legends. Just walking around single player, like on a dark map, hearing him say, "I can hear you, lizard," just like, "Quit laughing at me," or whatever it is that he's doing, or something like that. But I can't remember what it was. Do you guys remember what his full title is?
He's the Cantankerous Cavalier.
No. I guess what I'm referring to is there's a moment where he talks about himself.
There are a number of lines where he talks about his title.
There's probably 25 of those, and it keeps changing.
Oh yeah.
Nothing about
collector.
nothing about Kled is consistent because he's insane. But yeah, he's like Grand Admiral of the Mountain Division of and it just keeps going on.
And Vanguard
because he likes to
Artillery.
take the titles of everybody that he slayed.
Yeah, anyone that he
God.
beats, he takes the title. And one of his lines is actually like when he kills somebody, he'll be like, "Wait, what title were they? Yeah. Damn, I forgot to ask again. Gotta ask him before we kill him."
Yeah, that is actually a super fun idea. This is the kind of stuff that really makes the characters for me, is when I can when you learn so much about them that you can really start to apply that knowledge and kind of that wonder to them outside of the actual game, right? Like Illaoi, one of my personal favorite characters of all time.
You're a glorious man.
Yeah.
And so handsome.
Oh yeah.
He's making up for the Tom Kench cracks earlier.
Yeah. Tom Kench is literal human garbage, but Illaoi is only for the true and purest of heart.
Why do you hurt me?
Yeah. but no, like, the fact that Illaoi quite literally beats people over the head with her religion, right? Like, is just such a super fun concept for like a priest or a cleric type character that I don't think you usually really see, right? And so wondering like how Kled interacts with other champions in League of Legends is super fun. Are there a lot of interactions? Did you guys go deep on giving him a lot of unique things to say or do with other characters?
So one of the things we had started with Jin and couldn't really implement and got to implement with Kled. When you kill people with Kled will say something about the person he just killed. He will diss their dead body. And so it's like the sort of dream of where like the taunts sort of actually belong
Yeah.
exists with Kled. And so he has a lot of things to say about the Noxian champs and other Yordles. None of it is very nice.
Wow.
I think he actually says something sort of nice about Riven. Where it's like, she's, I almost feel bad about that.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. That's I guess for Kled, that's probably as bad as close to nice as you get. It's crazy to me to think about how far this champion came, because a lot of people out there, listening may know we have characters like Lee Sin and Elise, maybe a couple others. I think, Aurelion Sol, right? Ao Shin, the original, like characters that we come up with this idea for, and we don't really get it the first time or maybe even the second time, and then we kind of put them away for a little bit, and yet there's something so enduring about that fantasy that we end up coming back and kind of doing it right. And I remember a little after I had started, like 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago or something, there was this idea of having a little Yordle on a Griffin, and I believe we called it Yoag. Yordle on a Griffin.
Yep.
And then when I was like, Ian, what champion are you on? He's like, oh, I'm on Yonag. I was like, the hell is Yonag? He's like, oh, it's Yordle on not a Griffin. And I was like, so Mundo, what do you have against Griffins, man?
Nothing. I love Griffins, but I think we were building that character at a time when it was just not the time for it, and I think we didn't have a good foundation. We have really good art for it, but we didn't have a good. I don't think we had a good narrative foundation for it, a good base. Thematic for it, and I think Kit was also suffering, so I think it's something that we just had to shelve.
Is this something that happens to you a lot, where you're like, guys, I keep knocking it out of the park over here on these amazing concepts
all the time.
Why does no one match my genius?
Can
you help me out here? I think if I'm not mistaken, was the original Thresh drawing yours as well?
Yeah.
Man, hell yeah.
That just happens.
He's got all of them.
Yeah. Actually, what, like Edmundo, you are Dr. Mundo, is that correct as well?
Yeah.
We're sitting, all the people out there who hate Mundo are like, where are they? I'm gonna go down to that podcast recording right now. So we're kind of getting to wrapping up, but I want to get this is kind of the part of the show where I like to talk about, let's tell some of the fun stories or some of the fun happenings that kind of happened during this development. I know, Odin, you were mentioning just outside, you talked about the climbing up inside someone's skull, but you had so many lines that didn't actually make it. Of the lines that did make it, can you give me some of your favorites?
So my favorite is one of his off-mount attack lines, which we decided were his most aggressive one. And it's partially just performance, and it's one of those throwaway lines that you're writing. And if you are attacking somebody, there's an X percentage chance of him just going, I hate you! I hate you! And it's just something is just so funny about him charging at somebody screaming that he hates them. It's so simple. That's one of my favorites. Any of the titles, I love all of the grand, Grand Rear Admiral of the First Multiplication, any of that sort of nonsense. And then all of the stuff with the weasels are watching.
I remember walking around. He had a lot to say about badgers.
Yeah, badgers. That's right. I ended up with badgers. I decided badgers was funnier than weasels. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know if
there's invisible brain badgers that he's constantly worried about.
So when we update the champion page on the client and everything, that's going to be under the rivals section. It's going to have brain badgers.
Brain badgers. Yes.
Can we get that?
The only defense is the only defense is the tinfoil hats.
Mundo, I need you to draw some brain badgers.
On it.
Well, I guess they're invisible, so you really don't need to draw
an empty square.
Yeah. That would be so fun if all his rivals are these made up things, things that don't really exist.
As Kled says, paranoia just means having all the facts.
So Mundo, tell me, give me one of your stories. What was one of your favorite parts working on Kled?
Kled's been a good ride. It's
a wild ride.
Some might say. It's been smooth. Like I said, I think we laid really good foundation for it early on. I think it's been fun having people kind of question us on, wait, you guys are making a hillbilly? Yep.
Yeah,
we are, and we did. It's been it was and it pulling out a hillbilly that was a mixture between the references that we used were Hunter S. Thompson and General Patton. You know, it was
Yeah.
it was just it was
that's a hell of a mix.
yeah. it was just fun. Everything about him has just been sweet.
Did you ever think when you started that this was the character you were going to end up on?
Not, I mean, to a certain degree, right? Like we also early on we were like referencing Don Quixote as well, you know. But so I think I don't think we ended up as vanilla as potentially we might have, you know. So I think we ended up with a way better flavor, you know. I think, I'm pretty satisfied.
No, I remember I many moons ago when Yoag was a thing, I was really attached to this concept that I was kicking around with some people. I called it Javier, and it was he was really, really dumb, but his Griffin is super smart and constantly saving him. And when I was like, oh yeah, we're bringing back Yonag, what's it going to be? And now that I see how these two work together in game, I'm like, okay, good. They have doubled the potency of that and made it even more fun and everything. Ian, design story. What's your favorite moment during Kled?
There have been a lot of real comical bugs that I wish people could see. One of my favorites was so when you were riding around on Skarl, everything was totally normal. As soon as you got dismounted, Kled looked totally fine. Skarl expanded to 100 times the size that lizard normally is, and then just like Jurassic Park stomped over the fight, and then reached like the brush to hide, disappeared like magic, just gone.
So he would just grow as he was running into a brush.
No, he just immediately snapped to 1,000,000 times the size.
Oh, so good.
Just obscured your entire vision. Gigantic dinosaur lumbering away.
Could you not see anything underneath him, or did he become like the texture?
Oh, you could kind of make things out, but it was literally like a T-Rex.
Look, man, I'm just saying, when are you going to let me have the strategic identity of obscuring the entire map with a giant lizard?
That'll be the next one.
Yeah.
Kled 2.
Yeah.
Kled harder.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
There was another great bug. This was just like one accidental script mistake. Every basic attack Kled did turned his opponent also into Kled.
What?
Literally, suddenly they just became another Kled. So you could just hit everyone on the enemy team, 5 Kleds.
So that sounds like a fantastic rotating game mode. Is the champions infect the other champions with themselves. You try to see who can get 10 of it as it goes. Yeah, that's the look, man. I now I want to create a group. We got to be the Grateful Kled, or the Walking Kled, maybe. The Skarl. The how does Jesus make his coffee? He brews it, Skarl. He brews it. Just many memes to be had. I think. And this is one that, one last kind of shout out to you guys for really bringing it to this place, because I have actually never heard of a character internally that was really this contentious, and that's something that I think might not bleed through to a lot of people on the outside. We're all laughing and having a good time because I think we're at the end of the ride, sure. Or for the balance, only the beginning. As people will take to the forums screaming about getting trampled by Kled.
Sorry / you're welcome, a little of both.
Yeah, a little bit of A, a little bit of B, but this is something that I can't even really imagine the pressure, because you have playtesters, you have people on the balance team, you have concerned individuals from around the company being like, hey man, I don't know if like old man is gonna be like a cool thing people want to do. I don't know if hick or hillbilly's a cool thing, and all the way down to like, hey, I need to tell you why if you release this champion into the game, League of Legends will die this year, right? Like,
you personally have said this to me once or twice.
Yeah. I may have a couple times, but yeah, really being able to bring it around and get it to the really polished state that it's in. I hope people out there are gonna like it. I'm gonna leave everyone with one last line. He's so fun to do. Thank you. Shout outs to you and everyone else that did the voice lines. This is one of the most fun characters to do. But Ian, if you will combo with me on this, can you do the Skarl part?
Of course.
Yeah. So this is my favorite line from Kled and Skarl is, I keep hallucinating sometimes that you can talk. Nah, it'll pass. Like that. That was when I knew. That was when I knew this character was going to be for me. So thank you guys for coming by and hanging out and talking about Kled. Everyone out there, please leave us a comment, like, subscribe, +1 upvote. I don't know what you do, but anything you need to do to tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what we can do better for next time. And we will all see you out there on the Rift, probably riding a cowardly lizard and screaming "charge" and "I hate you" as we dive our spear and pocket pistol right into your gullet. So, guys, thank you again one more time, and thanks all you for listening. We will see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.